Morning. It's JB Portillo here. I know you're expecting Jerry Horner, but you know what? Jerry's somewhere in London having a really good time. So today, she has allowed us to talk about the Benton County Master Gardeners. And I'm excited I have a whole bunch of ambassadors here today with me. So let's start right over here. I want to introduce you to Don Castillo. Don, you are fairly new to the organization, but man, did you hit the ground running.
Well, you got to do what you can. You got to do what you can able to do. And when I joined, my primary interest was learning. So as I'm learning, I have a little bit of organizational skills, so I try to put those to use.
Oh, you're doing a fabulous job.
Thank you.
You really are, and we're glad you're on board. So let's go from a newer individual who's hit the ground running to someone who's still running, and she's a life member, 20 plus years, Mary Burks. Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Tell us, you transferred from
Arkansas County, originally here in Arkansas, almost 20 years ago when I took my first training.
Yeah, and again, Mary has been a godsend to the organization. We really appreciate it. She handles all our money, and we are so grateful. Yes. And then, last but not least, is the incoming president, yay, Andrea Klokow. Klokow. I almost said it right.
You did.
And how long have you been with us now?
I've just been here for 3 years.
Yes. Has it been that long?
It has been. It has 3 gardening seasons. Makes it seem a lot longer.
It really does. Well, you're going to hear from everybody today, but let me give you just a little bit of history about the Master Gardeners. In 1972, in the state of Washington, the county extension office there was having so much trouble keeping up with all the calls that were coming in for gardening questions and lawns and trees and all of that. So they had the grand idea of starting a volunteer group called the Master Gardeners that would come in and help the extension office answer those questions. Benton County is celebrating their 25th year. So we've been around here in Benton County for a long time as well. We used to go into the office itself, to the extension office, and man or woman a telephone and answer questions. Today, Google is very handy, and many of the calls are answered in different ways. But we are an extension of the Benton County Extension Office. That's who we report to, up through the ranks all the way to Little Rock. The hours that we put in our book every year on our projects go toward an accumulation of volunteer hours that gets the Master Gardeners organization funded through the state. So it's really important that not only do we have a lot of fun recording those hours, and we're going to tell you in a minute about what we do, exactly what we do. But in the meantime, just know that we are hopefully giving back to the community in the way of education and just making sure people know about nature and plants and the best way to take care of them. We are research-based, so many of the advice we give people also go back to there must be a huge file in the cloud somewhere with all the publications. Yes. On anything you want to know. We'll tell you about that in a minute too. To go ahead and get started though, let's talk a little bit about one of our primary wonderful projects that we have. It's called the Helping Hands Pantry Garden. Would you like to talk about that?
I would love to talk about it. Every chance I get, I talk about the Helping Hands Garden. Helping Hands is a wonderful organization right here in Bentonville. They're a resale shop. They have, several acres just off 28th Street. And they have graciously allowed Benton County Master Gardeners, in partnership with the Seventh-day Adventist Church, to put up raised garden beds so that we can grow vegetables. And all of the food that we grow goes directly into the Helping Hands food pantry. And it's given out that day. So we go out, We grow the food, we harvest the food, and the morning we harvest the food, we take it to the food pantry and it is distributed that day, which eliminates the need for storage and shipment, transportation, which is very expensive for food pantries trying to provide food to their local residents. So keep it local, keep it green. Last year we distributed over 1 ton of food to local residences. It was just it's a wonderful project.
It really is, and I believe somebody has actually written some recipes that are handed out.
Absolutely. Some of the food that we grow, many people may not be familiar with, like how to prepare okra or kale or even sometimes fresh tomatoes. You can eat them fresh, but how would you make tomato sauce out of that? And so some of our Master Gardeners have prepared simple recipes so that the people who receive the fresh produce know how to wash it, how to prepare it, so that they can serve it and make it a part of a healthy diet.
Yes, and it's located behind Helping Hands, and I think there's like 7 acres back there. But we have what, an acre and a half, something like that?
That's right. We are only growing on about an acre, maybe an acre and a half. This year we've planted a melon patch so that we'll be able to give out fresh cantaloupe, watermelon, and hopefully in the fall, pumpkins.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, we have a children's program out there too, don't we?
We do.
Growing Up Green?
Growing Up Green has 4 garden beds in the very front of the garden, and it teaches children how to plant, how to weed, how to water, and how to harvest. Children are much more likely to eat their vegetables if they have a hand in growing them and know where they come from.
That is absolutely the truth. Absolutely the truth. You know, we have lots of props. I wouldn't say props. I'd say maybe favorite tools. Don, what's your favorite tool here in Arkansas?
Google.
Google?
Yes.
That's yeah, I'm a research scientist by trade, and I use Google on a regular basis to try to learn more about what I need to do.
Well, and the fact that you're a research scientist, you can tell the difference between what's not necessarily good
That's
stuff.
true.
Rather
You
than.
can find just about anything on Google. Everything you read's not true.
That's exactly
So
right.
you need to
point.
weed out what is and what's not.
Now, also, you are our Vice President of Projects. What does that mean? What do you do?
I just kind of keep a finger on the different projects going on and see if the team leaders need help staffing what their project is, filling staffing positions, filling team leader positions, and communicating with them and keeping up with information that we need to turn back into the county extension office so that they can get credit for it.
Yeah, okay. You know, for instance, one of those projects is what we call Market Masters.
Market Masters.
And actually, we are at the Bentonville on the square.
First Fridays.
First Friday, so Saturday.
Yes.
We'll be there.
Yes.
And let's brag on Anita a little bit. She's really great, isn't she?
She is great. She is great. She jumped in there and took over that project, and it's very involved. I think the very first day that we had it out there this year, we had over 300 people come by and visit with us. We had a number of people that were interested in Master Gardeners that we communicated with, got some information to. But maybe most important, we had 88 kids do a project while they were there at the table.
Oh, she's really good. You know, her last email, I don't know if you remember reading it or not, but she was collecting cans because she can take something and nothing and make something out of it for kids. And I got tickled because she said, well, I've got enough cans now, thank you very much, but you know, this has been a rough week she raises goats.
Right.
So between the goats having babies and haying and her tractor breaking, and she's just amazing. She really is.
She is.
And we have a lot of those kind of people, don't we?
We do.
So, what is a Master Gardener?
The thread that kind of holds us all together is a love of gardening, and whether it's flowers or fruits or vegetables or trees or shrubs, we've all got a particular interest that we're interested in. Some people like Mary down here maybe knows about all of them. I'm
wouldn't
still
say
learning
all
the
that.
difference between a fruit and a flower because I'm so new. That's what the white, you see everybody else has a different name tag on. Mine's white. That means I'm kind of a beginner.
That means you're special.
They didn't tell me that when they gave me the white one, but found that out about a week ago. Anyway, a master gardener is somebody that has an enjoyment of gardening, obviously. They get into it for different reasons, whether it's for their own learning. You know, like me, I had a place out in my yard. I planted a tree 4 different times because they kept dying, and I finally planted a rock there. And the rock is doing quite well, but I wanted to find out why my trees were dying, why my squash kept rotting. And so my primary interest was to try to learn on my own. But they also get into it because they want to share what they learn with others, and and also to beautify their own areas, and that's how you learn from each other, from Google. But there are a number of reasons why people get into master gardening, and that's just a few of them.
One of the things that we do, talk a little bit about what we do around the courthouse every spring and fall. Talking about beautifying Benton County.
Yes, around the courthouse, Bentonville Courthouse, we redo the beds every fall. I know they have just changed over the beds from the tulips that come up earlier in the spring to something that's more colorful and stuff that lasts throughout the summer, and they do that every year. And they'll change it out again in the fall, and they keep something going there all year round. So Master Gardeners does a lot of volunteer work in the community, projects such as that. The Helping Hands project is the big one, and I think the total vegetables that we turned in last year was actually over 3,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So it was 1.5 tons. Yeah. No, we don't want to shortchange.
That's right.
People
That's
that
right.
do that over there.
Thank you.
That's right. Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm proud to be
Yes.
in the whole thing. Mary, I think you helped out a lot with the Expo this year. Can you give us a little nutshell about what when we say Expo, what does that mean? Expo.
Well, it's selling of plants that have been nurtured by our various members and brought in to resell. So there's no expense to it on our part, and it's all a big fundraising event for us. This year was wonderful. The weather was great, and we all had a good time.
And that's held at the big Methodist church right off the square in
Yes.
Bentonville. You know, I think too, because they're so good to us, one of the things that we just did was put in 2 raised beds for
Yes.
them, for the kids.
For their kids to learn how the vegetables grow and then what to do for them.
That's exactly right. So it's kind of another spot where Growing Up Green
Yes.
takes over. You know what? We've got some really cool things here. I'd like to talk about. Tell me about your favorite tools. He likes Google. What do you
He likes
like?
Google. His tool is pretty good too.
Yes.
One of my favorite hand tools is called a hori hori, and it is
Wicked looking.
It is wicked
Very.
looking, and it works wonders in Arkansas soil. It has sort of a knife blade on one side and a serrated blade on the other, so if you're digging a hole, you saw through any roots that are blocking your path, pry out any rocks, and yet it's also curved so that you can use it as a trowel if you need to, and then it has a very nice protective case as well. Absolutely. And my second favorite tool are these garden gloves. I can't go outside and dig in the dirt without the gloves.
And we, by the way, we sell those.
We do.
Yes, we sell those.
At most of our events, you can find a good set of garden gloves.
That's right. I think another thing for a lot of us might be a hat. Now, hats are hot for me. That's why I get sunburned. But a hat is always a good tool. And I don't know if you can see down below, but sometimes, now I just tend to go outside in my bare feet, but sometimes we have boots, especially for the rain and for, there we go. It's kind of hard to see them, but it doesn't hurt to have a good pair of mud boots. I don't know about you, but it's easier to pull weeds
Yes.
right after the rain or when it's gently raining. And it smells good.
Yes.
Doesn't it? Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so we have a really cool event coming up.
We do.
All right, this is your baby. You tell us about it.
Well, we're having our Master Gardener, Benton County Master Gardeners meet on the first Tuesday of every month. And in June, we try and do something a little bit different, and we meet at Peel Mansion, and I think that's at 400 North Walnut, Walton Boulevard. And it's open to the public, the grounds are open, and we're having a band called Still on the Hill playing from about 5:30 to 6:30. We'll have food trucks there, educational displays, and we're going to have some raffles. You'll see this lovely fig.
Let's zoom in on this fig, because there's a lot to tell about fig.
We'll have some educational information about the figs as well. And this is sort of our 25th anniversary shindig. Since Master Gardeners were founded 25 years ago here in Benton County, we're just celebrating in June at our regular monthly meeting time.
And are you dressing up?
That'll be determined, but we are going to have a contest.
Uh-huh.
I will certainly at least have a decorative hat on. Okay. But yes, we're going to have a garden party attire contest. Prizes to be determined yet, but we are really looking forward to this.
And Mary, aren't we going to have some raffles? I know Mr. Fig here is going.
Yes, we'll have 3 different raffles this year for this special occasion. And that money that we gather goes to help pay for special speakers and so forth that we have come in at our monthly meetings and so forth. But it's a lot of fun.
Oh, it is. And I believe Mr. Fig is coming with a jar of fig jam.
Yes.
Oh, cool. A wonderful surprise that you'd have to come to see about, and a nice book. And I think Marla, one of our new Master Gardeners, is actually making big cookies or fig cakes or something. So that will be one of the raffles. And by the way, for those of you that, like, I had a question this morning, does that grow here? Yes, it does. It's hardy in this area, and it actually stays alive outside. You don't have to bring it in. So, Mary, I want to know about your favorite tulip.
You really want to know about this thing?
I really do.
All right, well, talk about digging into the dirt in our northwest Arkansas. This one gets down to the deepest of the roots without taking up a half an acre of ground when you're trying to get through the mud and the clay, rocks, whatever. Anyway, I don't like to bend over, so I get one with a long handle.
And that's a good one for Bentonville, but if you live in Bella Vista, you need what they call in Arkansas toothpick. Seriously, because what we raise the best is rocks.
I understand that.
And it's about that big and kind of scary looking, kind of like her. What is that, a hori-hori?
It's a hori-hori. H-O-R-I, H-O-R-I.
Wonder where that came from.
Google.
Oh. Oh, you guys are too much fun. You are too much fun. I'd like to point out to the side here one of the our geranium. This particular geranium basket actually came from the Peel Mansion sale recently, where they did hanging baskets. Now, we do hanging baskets that we sell too for the Expo, but isn't that gorgeous?
Yes, it is.
And those were put together by Matkins, which is one of the best, as far as I'm concerned, of places to buy anything at all. We raise so many different kinds of things, vegetables, trees, just everything. What's your favorite plant, Mary? Yeah. Do you have a favorite?
Oh, no, because there's so many of them that I love. Anything that blooms.
Anything that blooms.
Really. And I have a couple of spirea right now that are blooming their little heads off, and they're 2 colors, white and pink, on the same plant.
Really?
And I don't know how that came about, but when I planted it and the first time it bloomed, it did that. And this year they're very, very pretty.
Yes, yes. How about you?
I think anything that I can eat.
Oh,
and so I'm particularly fond of homegrown peaches. Peaches need to ripen on the tree, And they don't travel well once they are ripe. And so there's nothing better than having a fresh peach right off the tree from your own yard.
That's exactly right.
Figs are a close second.
Figs are,
Yes.
yes. Okay, Don. No Googles now.
No Googles. No, I hate to disagree with Andrea again, but I think the best one is tomatoes. Right out of the garden. No, I think my favorite plant is a tomato. And we grow, I have 3 raised bed gardens in my house. And I've learned all the mistakes that you can make, and decided to join Master Gardeners and learn what to do right instead of what to do wrong. But last year we had 10 tomato plants, and there were 2 or 3 days in a row where I'd go out and harvest 100 tomatoes.
Oh my goodness.
And we grow indeterminate, so they keep growing all summer long. And we just love fresh tomatoes.
Well, tell the audience what indeterminate means, the difference between. Let's do that.
Tomato plants can be determinates or indeterminates. Determinates grow for a single growing event and puts on fruit one time. Indeterminates keep on growing all summer long and will actually grow all the way up until the first frost. And you can harvest all summer long, beginning about mid-June.
Okay, okay.
So that'll be soon when I start pulling my tomato plants off.
And
But,
you're going to make that great salsa stuff again that you did?
I don't do that with the fresh tomatoes.
Okay.
But I do that with canned tomatoes. But
Okay.
I do, well, let me back up on that some. Whenever I was harvesting the hundreds, I will take them and freeze them whole and then pull them out, and you can stick them underwater and the peels just come right off. If you do that while they're frozen, and then you can use those in the salsa. And the salsa that we had
Yes.
at our meeting actually
Yes.
had some of that in it.
You know what, guys? I think it's time to get rid of his white badge. I think he knows what he's doing.
Absolutely.
Don't
Yes.
you?
Sounds like it.
Absolutely.
I tell you what, now we've got a thank you. See, you know more than Google knows. Mary,
Yes, ma'am.
let's talk about our other event that's kind of, it's our pinnacle of the year. It's coming up, and you and your compadres do such a good job. The fair.
The Benton
Tell
County
us-
Fair.
Tell us about that.
This year it's going to be August 5th through the 10th. I am in charge of the flowers, but then there was another lady that is also in charge of the horticulture. And so we encourage anyone that would like to bring a specimen in to enter it for the fair to be prepared, flowers, fruits, vegetables, anything that
Maybe some
we
of his
grow.
tomatoes.
Absolutely, some of his tomatoes. Yeah, that's right.
That's right. And aren't you doing, I think you told me recently you're going through or presenting or taking part in a judging?
Yes, there's going to be a fair judging school that's come about. Susan Pickle from the Extension Office is putting that together. That will be in July, later coming up. But there's several of the people in our Master Gardeners that are interested in doing judging for other counties. Because we can't judge for our own county. And so we asked Washington County Master Gardeners to come in and judge for our specimens that are brought in. And so then this will be a learning process for us to learn the procedures, what we need to look for in judging for them or whoever.
Okay. Well, that's always fun. You have an
Yes.
indoor, are you doing an outdoor display this next year or just indoor?
For the
For the
fair,
fair.
it'll be all indoors.
All indoors.
Nice.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's get down before we tell everybody how to garden in June, because we're going to do that in a minute. Because Jerry would be very upset with us if we didn't do that, because that's her baby and she knows what she's talking about. But let's talk a little bit about how do you become a master gardener. We actually all year long, anybody that's interested in being a master gardener can turn in an application. You can go by the County Extension Office, which is on 14th Street, or 102, it's the same highway, the Benton County Extension Office. It's right next to the Sheriff's Department. And that's not to keep control of them so much, it just that happens to be where the Extension Office is. But you can turn in an application there. We will be training again. You must go through 40 hours of training, and we have 2 ways to do that now. In October, the middle of October, the beginning of October through about the middle of November, there will be what we call a Zoom training, and that's how you go once a week on Wednesdays usually, and go through a huge series of everything you wanted to know about soil, and it's not dirt, by the way, it's soil. Tomatoes, annuals, perennials, lawn, everything that you could ever want to know. So 40 hours of that, and then you commit to be a volunteer for the Extension Office. And that first year, right after that, and that's what Don has just finished, I'm sure you finished, because he actually started a year ahead of time, another 40 hours of volunteering. And that's pretty easy to get, isn't it?
Very easy.
Yes. And then 20 hours of continued education. And the programs we have, you attend the meetings,
Yes.
and that counts as a learning experience. Or many of us go out in the community and actually teach classes. So you can read a magazine. You could do so many, you can go out to Google and find stuff. But in all seriousness, it's another 20 hours. After that, and that keeps you certified, not certifiable, but certified. And you must keep that up every year. Now, the second year is a little easier because it's only 20 hours of volunteer and 20 hours of continued education. So it's fun. Isn't it great to be in a whole room full of people that actually care about what you care about? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Okay. Let's talk about what to do in June for gardening. Or did you have something else?
I have something else
Oh,
that's
please.
coming up on June the 8th.
Please, talk.
It's a Saturday, and it will be from 10 to 2 at the fairgrounds. It's going to be a workshop, basically, that is going to teach people. This year, all of the specimens have to be entered online prior to the fair opening and then bringing them in. So this little workshop is going to teach them how to go about that, show them all the principles that they need to do as far as getting their specimen entered before they bring it in the week of the fair. This is different. This is the first year for this, and so it's we wanted to give a little extra information. Also, I've lined up a lady by the name of Allison Hodson that is with the AIFD. She's going to present a workshop on how to put together a floral arrangement. We grow the beautiful flowers. Let's learn how to put them together and show them in our homes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
So if you want to do things like this, join us,
That's
right?
right, that's right.
So quickly, I think we just have a little bit of time left. Let's talk about, for instance, what do you do for, let's see what we've got to pick from here. Annuals. Who's doing annuals? Who's talking about annuals?
She gave that to me. I'm not sure why. Annuals are beautiful to give you showy color, but just this season. That's it. You
Like
can
that.
like the geranium. In Arkansas County, we wintered the geraniums over and then they bloomed the next spring. But here, no, we have too cold. Everything about the annuals that you can buy different annuals, plant them at different times, you can start your own seeds, whatever, but they all will just bloom for this season and or through the fall, and then they're gone.
Okay. Who knows about herbs? What do we do with herbs? Is that you?
No.
That's you.
I love herbs. You need to read the label on herbs and make sure that the ones that prefer a dry climate, you don't overwater and don't plant them next to the ones that prefer a lot of water. Some herbs like cilantro prefer cool and they will bolt when it gets too hot, and some like basil like it really hot. So herbs are a wonderful addition to the garden, and also for cooking. If you plant them close to your kitchen door, your exterior door, just go out and snip a little bit and bring it in.
There you go.
It's the best way to bring the garden inside.
Okay, what do you do for the lawns?
Well, most of the lawns around here that I've seen anyway are Bermuda. Bermuda is a hot weather grass, and it really starts taking off whenever the temperatures get up high. It also loves nitrogen, so you need to put some nitrogen on it about every 30 or 45 days. Water it. It needs about 1 inch a week of deep watering. I used to water mine 3 or 4 times a week, just a little bit in the morning, and found out that's not what you need to do. One of the advantages of being in Master Gardeners. But you need to keep nitrogen on it because it's very much nitrogen loving, and it will keep your grass greener longer in the fall and bring it out earlier in the spring.
Okay, I think there are probably some other things to talk about, but we're about out of time. So what I'd like to say to the audience is, take a little time, go outside, wander around your garden, sniff some flowers, watch those bees and butterflies because they're having a blast right now. I don't know about you all, but I plant for the bees and the butterflies.
Yeah.
So until next time, as Jerry would say, don't forget to stop and smell the roses. See you next month.